So we're live, huh?
Yeah, we're just waiting for people to get in before we start talking. Tonight we're going to discuss the 80s, hopefully. We'll have enough people to chat about the 80s. You will have to excuse me because I'm still... Some days are better and some days are worse. And today seems to be a worse day. We're just going to wait a few more seconds here and see if anybody else pops in, and then we'll start talking. So tonight we're going to be discussing the 80s. Like everything from popular movies and music to what it was like growing up in the 80s to fashion, popular toys, different things from the 80s. So,
I guess I'm here because I'm from the 80s.
Well, you grew up in the 80s, so you kind of have like a first-hand account of...
I didn't grow up till the 2020s. Kinda.
But I wasn't born till 89, so... Like, yes, I guess technically I was born in the 80s, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grow up in the 80s. So, some cool inventions that I found that were made in the 80s were disposable cameras. Like, they were invented in the 80s and then became like a huge thing in the 90s. Polaroids. Contact lenses. So, like, they had contact lenses before the 80s, but apparently these are the like more common ones that we use today.
Oh, were they glass before or something?
I don't know if they were glass or what they were, but they, like the ones we use today, were invented in the 80s.
Yeah.
The personal computer, like access to your own computer at home. DNA fingerprinting in 1984 was the first case that the U.S. used DNA fingerprinting.
Was it really? I thought it was 91 in England.
So, yeah, that was when England developed their stuff. But we used it in 1984 in a case. And then after DNA fingerprinting became a legitimate thing where, like, you could use it in court, America and England developed their fingerprint database.
Mm-hmm. CODIS? CODIS?
Yeah. Mobile phones.
Hold on, you're going way too fast here. Like, you don't want to talk about it, you just want to rattle off a list? You don't want to discuss any of those?
I mean, we kind of were.
There were so many things there that you just flew right through. Like, I mean, when it comes to DNA, if you want to go down that angle, do we want to talk about all the junk science they used in hair analysis for years and convicted a bunch of people? Like, yep, looks like the same hair, got to be the guy, he's guilty.
Well, that would be
found out it was all junk.
But that would be a whole other thing.
Yeah, I guess.
It was the best. That's why everyone wanted to copy us. The 80s? Yeah.
What else did you have before that? You did cameras, and then somewhere you wanted...
Contact lenses and the personal computer.
Oh, the personal computer. I mean, you can't just brush over that.
You can.
Because that was like a huge deal. The first personal computers, the first one I had was a Tandy from Radio Shack. Those don't exist anymore. Those were great places for nerds and computer people and bombers and... I mean, seriously, you watch any of those crime shows, and they always trace back the components to Radio Shack.
Radio Shack brand?
But...
The first computer I used in school was a Radio Shack brand.
Yeah, I think all the ones in the schools in the beginning they were Tandy, and it was all built together. A little monitor that was maybe 9 or 10 inches, and it was just green on black, and then, it got real fancy and, kind of a whitish on black. But it was words. Oh, that's all you had. You typed, and that's all it did. And you would sit there and you would type hundreds of lines of code, and you'd have to number each line and tell it what you want it to do. You spend an hour doing this to get it to come up and make something that sort of looked like a frog out of asterisks and backslashes and stuff. And go, that's cool, I think.
Well, it seems kind of boring.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, by today's standards, it is. But the fact that that was even a thing was incredible. And then, at my time in school, the kids that did their homework on like printed it out on a computer or word processor, they were bougie. Here I am on my freaking spiral with my little paper things flying everywhere, written where you can't even read it. Because, I couldn't read my own writing. But, yeah. And those computers that we had in the 80s didn't have the power that our phones have today.
No. I feel like the phones you have today are basically a mini computer in your hand.
Oh, absolutely. And this processing power would have filled a room in the 50s or 60s.
But I also feel like technology is a whole other subject because there's pros and cons to technology. If technology had stayed with what it was intended for, communication, research, putting information out there, that kind of stuff, it would have been one thing. But I feel like they've taken technology and gone way too far with it.
Okay.
In some aspects.
Well, I'm not putting on the tinfoil hat with you, but I understand. Everything, every advance in life can be good or evil in how you use it. And
I'm not poo-pooing technology because without technology, we wouldn't have, like that digital photo thing on the wall or TVs or access to the internet, or I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying that I feel like with everything in life, you can also take it too far.
In the beginning, it was mostly like business and government. And like one of the things that happened that changed with all that is, if you wrote a check today, that paper check, the person you wrote it to, they'd take it to their bank, and the banks would have to like send those off somewhere to some hub, and you'd have a couple of days that check was out there floating. And now if you go to a store, it's boom, done. It's all linked up.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's still people that use checks, but it's your older generation. Like probably 60s and above that use the most amount of checks, but a lot of people have gone to the cards and whatnot because it's much faster.
Right. Yeah, I think I saw something recently like 30% of Gen Z think cash is cringe.
30% of who think cash is cringe?
Gen Z.
Okay, what gen is that?
That's the one after you. So there's Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z,
okay,
and then the latest, whatever they're calling them, Gen Alpha or something else.
So why do they think it's cringe
They
to
just
use cash?
Because I guess it's like writing in cursive or writing checks or so they're just like, ew, who does that?
Okay.
I mean, now they don't even have to use cards.
The Apple Pay and things like that.
With Google Pay and Apple Pay and Samsung whatever, and you just wave your phone and poof, your money goes somewhere.
That's all too much for me. Then you got the mobile phone, which, I mean, my first phone was a Nokia, so anything prior to that, I have no idea.
Well, you're in the late 90s there. Growing up in the 80s, your phone was as mobile as the cord you had attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
And the houses I was in generally had like a 20-foot cord from the phone to the handset.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of them spirally cords, but eventually it was straight and then had, a little bit of spiral left and a knot. And, I don't know how more people didn't get clotheslined with somebody on the phone in that side of the room and people running through the house.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I did that running through your grandma's house. She'd be on the phone, have that big cord.
Yeah, got the big cord. Right. and I mean, there were still some rotary phones around back in my day.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't calling anybody in a hurry with that.
Three-way calling?
Yeah, I guess I don't know if anybody remembers the party lines. That was a wild experience. It was like a shared phone line. So you pick up the phone to call somebody, and if someone else on your party line was already on the phone, well, you were just on with them.
So I never actually like experienced that, of course, but I remember my grandmother talking about that being a kid where she'd pick up the phone and try to call one of her friends, but there'd be other people on there talking. You'd have to wait your turn.
Yeah, that was a shock for me when we first moved to this countrified place. That was still kind of a standard thing, and we had never heard of such a thing.
Of party lines?
Mm-hmm.
Telephone booths and payphones.
I know, right? You can't find a payphone anymore or a phone booth. I mean, I don't know where Superman would change anymore. Or
the
other
Walkman.
thing. I never.
That was another technology thing.
See, I never had a Walkman. There were two types of people. There were Walkman people and boombox people. And I was not a Walkman kid. I was a boombox, the one that, bigger than my chest. Because if I was going down the street listening to some cool Mo D at a very loud volume, so were you. We was all going to listen to it together.
I'm going to venture to guess that the relatives of mine, like my parents and uncles and aunts, I'm going to guess they were boombox people.
Yeah, you were going to hear my stuff. I wasn't into the personal end. I was sharing. I wanted everybody to enjoy, this new thing called rap.
Some of it I can get into, some of it I can't.
But I was diverse. I also listened to heavy metal. So, if you were around me, you were going to be diverse too. You were listening to what I listened to.
The other two cool things that I thought that were invented in the 80s that I didn't realize were the hepatitis B vaccine and the first antidepressant.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of assumed the hepatitis B vaccine would have been sooner, like 70s. But
I thought tricyclics went back to the 50s.
It could, but according to the things that I found, Prozac was first in the 80s.
No, I mean, if Google says it.
I didn't say that.
I mean, could it be the first SSRIs?
It could be.
I'm pretty sure tricyclic antidepressants were in the 50s.
Yeah, it could be like a certain particular antidepressant, but Prozac was in the 80s.
But I think before we get too far, we need to stop on the music of the 80s for a minute, because
I have the music.
I'm talking music technology, because the kids today don't understand the struggle, what it was like. So, like, first of all, if you wanted to hear a song, you didn't just go on your phone and pick it on Spotify or Google Music or, Apple's whatever crap they have. You had to own the album, and it was an album. Like, an album was a real album. It was a big round, vinyl thing that you didn't want to store near the furnace. And that was a whole experience. But, my time was more, I mean, although I did have Michael Jackson's Thriller on a 33, because the idea was you get the album and you go ahead and you record that onto a cassette. And then the album is like your master, but you can, re-record it over and over on a cassette as many times as you need, because cassettes didn't last forever.
Right.
Some suckers would pop eventually. But for the most part, you were listening to the radio with all the freaking commercials, whether you want them or not. And your best bet at getting music you wanted was listen to the radio, have your finger on that play and record button just ready, so that as soon as the DJ stopped running his trap, you could catch it at the right second at the beginning of the song and record that thing on a cassette. And then make sure you stopped it immediately afterwards. Otherwise, you're at the end of the tape and you had to rewind the thing back to where you wanted to be to record your next song, which is where a pencil came in handy. And I'm pretty sure if you handed our kids a cassette tape and a pencil, they'd have no idea what to do with that.
Listen to albums, but my grandparents had a thing in the basement full of them. We weren't allowed to touch them, of course, but they were down there.
Mm-hmm.
If you hand me a cassette and a pencil, I will know what to do with it.
That's right. But I bet you wasn't so broke you had to figure out how to use Scotch tape when one broke to splice it back together.
When one broke what? When what broke?
A cassette tape, the tape in it.
Oh.
Yeah, I ghetto fixed a few of those.
No, but I think I could figure that out.
That was
I think we still have some cassettes actually. Nothing to play them in.
I was gonna say I don't think we have anything to play them in.
No.
That was the problem too. You know, you get conned into that. Was it Columbia House or something? Where they'll send you 12 cassette tapes for a penny. Oh yeah. Okay. So you pick, and it's all this great stuff. You know, great music. You get 12 cassette tapes for a penny because normally they were 10, $15 or something. Probably 10. But then you are enrolled in a subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Or once a month, you're going to get some random thing that you did not want. Hawaiian yodeling, along with the bill for $19.95 for that, Hawaiian yodeling.
Uh-huh.
Or, next month, the Alpine throat songs or something from the Himalayas. And you were going to be working on that for a year. But you get your collection finally built up, and then they come out with CDs.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to do a separate video on the 90s, but the CDs and the DVDs took off then.
Okay, we'll go with that.
VHS tapes too. Like we have some VHS tapes, but nothing to play on.
Yeah, see, but you're missing something there too. The wonderful world of Betamax.
Betamax? I don't know what Betamax is.
So there was Betamax and there was VHS. Betamax is like a VHS tape, a little bit smaller. Came out just a hair sooner. It's a little bit smaller. And, you had to go one way or the other. Whatever VCR you buy, a Beta or a VHS. The thing is, and this gets a little bit kind of funny, VHS became much more popular for two reasons. One, because the way betas worked, originally they could only do 60 minutes. Most movies were 90 minutes.
Right. And
one particular movie industry wanted the longer. It was the things that were in the back of the video store in a separate room. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah. So VHS became the popular one, and if you were stuck with a Betamax, as was my house, then you'd go to the video store, and the new movie that had just come out, there'd be 20 of them in VHS and 2 in Beta. So, you weren't going to get it.
I do remember Blockbusters, though.
Yeah.
Like, going, and the biggest thing was, like, Be Kind, Please Rewind. Like, every single thing.
Oh, yeah, and usually a $2 or $3 fee if you didn't rewind.
Oh, yeah.
And the clerk would open the case when you brought it back and check not only that the right movie was in there, but that the tape was all on the correct side, that you had rewound it so that the next poor sucker didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something. And I mean, that was your entertainment. And then eventually, it wasn't just the video stores. Everybody was renting videos. The grocery store, the 7-Eleven even had video rentals. The whole front aisle was, you could rent videos in there.
I did not know that.
I remember when we got our first VCR, it was about 500 pounds. And it was pretty cool, but, of course it was a Beta, so we ended up having to change up a while later. Interesting thing about them Blockbuster folks, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm sorry. Yeah, there was a time that after Netflix had started where they started not with streaming, but where they would send you the DVDs in the mail and you'd send them back. Well, they got into kind of a bind and things weren't going well, so they made an offer to Blockbuster, hey, why don't you buy us? And Blockbuster was like, nah, pass, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not the best business decision for Blockbuster looking back.
Probably not.
Didn't work out so well for him. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't read that, so you have to tell me if there's something I need to know.
if you ran out of gas, you had to walk quite a ways to get some. And then she said a boom box with all the batteries.
Oh yeah, yeah, like 8D batteries.
That's a lot of batteries.
Yeah.
That's a lot of batteries. So, do you want to do fashion or music and stuff first?
I don't care.
Okay. So, fashion is neon colors and shoulder pads, acid wash jeans,
Yeah.
big hair, oversized jewelry and sunglasses, bracelets, perms, leather jackets, mullets, sideways ponytails, and baggy sweatshirts.
Yeah. Baggy sweaters, sweater dresses, mohawks. Um, that's when strange colored hair became a thing, but it wasn't mainstream like it is now. It was usually like a lime green mohawk or something. Not me. That wasn't my thing. I was a mullet guy.
She said video games became popular, spent a lot of money in game rooms. Kids today don't know what it means to put a quarter in a machine.
Yeah, and then when the quarter's gone and you die, it's another quarter to be alive again.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah, or the Pizza Hut. My favorites were the Miss Pac-Man at the Pizza Hut because they had the table machines where you could sit down at it and you're looking down the glass and you could have two players, one on either side. The Pizza Huts had those and some other pizza shops, but you'd get your reading whatever from Pizza Hut that got you a free personal pan pizza, and because you lied and said you read the book, whatever book you were supposed to read. And then you get your personal pizza and you miss Pac-Man, and that's a night right there. But yeah, that's the other thing. If you wanted to play video games, you weren't just putting on a freaking headset and grabbing a controller. You were going to an arcade back when.
Pizza Hut was the place to be on a Friday night.
Yeah, for sure. Or you were in a bowling alley, or any place that had an arcade. Pizza shops, bowling alleys, and the actual arcades that had the games. Dark little. They're kind of like casinos for kids. No windows. It's dark, but just blinky lights. You don't see anything. You just keep playing until you go cross-eyed.
We had an arcade at the mall.
Oh, and if you got high score, you got to put your initials in, and then defend your spot. But then along came the Atari 2600.
Yes. So that apparently video games started to make their appearance in the 80s, but really took off in the 90s.
Yeah, well, I mean the 2600 was in the 80s, like with Space Invaders. I remember that one pretty well. But there was no multiplayer kind of. I mean, that didn't come around until much later. Back then, it was you and your game, and even the two-player game, you could turn it on two-player, and that just meant you took a turn playing, and then the other person took a turn playing.
She said Atari.
Yeah, the Atari 2600, brown wood grain on the front, cartridge went in.
The only thing I remember playing with a cartridge was a Sega Genesis and a Nintendo.
Yeah, the Atari was before both of those. The Atari was the first one. And there's only a handful of, I don't want to say it, well, there were only a handful of popular games. There were a lot of games, but most of them sucked.
I would imagine so. It's like when I look at the graphics in the video games today versus like the Nintendo or the Sega Genesis, it's insane to me. Like I can't imagine what the graphics were like on an Atari.
Yeah, it was two colors, black and whatever gray or green or whatever the things were, and it looked crappy. And you had it like with the early VCRs, you had to turn your TV on channel 3, and then fire the thing up.
I want to say I vaguely remember using different channels. Like there wasn't it's not like today.
And like with the first Nintendo, the Atari was similar. That the game acted up or whatever, you popped the cartridge out and blew in it and blew out the hole, because apparently there's some magic in a kid's breath that reactivates the control or something.
For sure.
The microchips. I don't know.
For sure. So we discussed the blockbuster stuff, which is in the entertainment.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, that's fine. And then the biggest like music industry was Michael Jackson, Madonna, Prince, Whitney Houston, and Cyndi Lauper.
So Michael Jackson, definitely, he was bad. And, Madonna was like a virgin, but I'll use that term loosely. Because, she did wear like gold traffic cones on her chest. So
That's my first like real memory of Madonna was seeing her with the triangles on her chest.
so you got Michael Jackson, the king of pop,
Of course.
and you got Madonna, and I don't know who else you just said.
Prince and Whitney Houston and Cyndi Lauper. Now those are just like big names. Of course, there's like a ton of other people.
Yeah, totally. And so many one-hit wonders in the 80s of, strange songs that sometimes you listen to and wonder how that even became a thing.
Yeah.
But movie soundtracks made some of them popular is the only reason I can think, because there's no other reason some of those songs would have made any daggone sense.
Yeah. I like the 80s music. But I like the 90s, I think, equally. There's not a whole lot of... I don't listen to a lot of what you listen to, but I could listen to Whitney Houston all day.
Well, she ain't saying much anymore other than...
Are you done? That's not nice.
Oh, okay.
That's not nice.
She does want to dance with somebody.
Yes. And then popular TV and movies were E.T., Back to the Future, Miami Vice, Dirty Dancing, A-Team, The Wonder Years, and Cheers.
Okay, so E.T. I saw at the drive-in when it came out, along with Star Wars.
I'm not a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
But I think drive-ins are cool and I think they need to bring them back.
Yeah, I watched those at the drive-in when E.T. when it came out. Not sure if Star Wars was when it came out or not, but E.T. at the drive-in when it came out. That was a whole big thing. Yeah.
I love E.T.
He's all right.
No, he's more than all right. That scene in E.T. when he's drunk and like all over the place, it's like my favorite scene.
I don't know. I was more of a Gremlins guy.
I like Gremlins.
Yeah, that was one of my faves.
Yeah, the Gremlins was cool. Equal probably for me, but E.T.'s, I don't know. I watched E.T. a lot.
Seemed like there was a whole lot more normal people, in movies back then. But what?
She said poltergeist.
Oh, The Exorcist.
No. The Just Say No to Drugs campaign started in the 80s.
Do you want to get me started on that?
No.
I mean, bless Nancy Reagan's heart. It's a great idea. But there's a couple of problems. Number one, we've been fighting a war on drugs for over 60 years. And it ain't freaking working.
No, it's not.
Number two, you know how the whole thing was started. I won't even get into it. It had nothing to do with actually making people healthy. It had to do with putting such a stigma on drugs to be able to criminalize certain groups of people that the people in government thought were a problem. And yeah, whatever. We're not going to get into all that mess. You'll get me all bent out of shape. But yeah, while you're on the Say No to Drugs, we had something else in the 80s that, wouldn't work today, but the kids could use it after school specials. And good grief, the horrible things that happened to kids in those things had me coming up thinking, like the world was, going to kill me or something. Because every time you turn around, there's some kid, going blind from some kind of chemical or getting, kidnapped and, turned into getting stuffed or something. They were terrible.
I was under the impression that if I did drugs, they would kill me, so I never did. Like, that was the big thing, was doing drugs will kill you. So I was always terrified. I never touched them.
Well, so I had some direct and indirect issues with that. Number one, if I had done drugs, they would not have killed me directly, but my father would have.
Well, that's the other thing.
And number two, it was scary to me because I didn't really get into all the distinctions of what drugs were what.
Right.
I just knew that I was pretty young. It had been, cocaine was kind of the thing, and then it turned into crack, which was like Dollar General cocaine. And yeah, I mean, there's a pretty prominent basketball player, Len Bias, and I remember them telling us that as kids, that they made a big deal about how he did coke and his heart exploded.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, something that can kill me from doing it one time is probably not something I want to mess with.
Right.
You
That's why, I just assumed, because having never gotten involved in each different one and what they did and how they were, I just assumed they all did it. And so I never did any of them. Sunday Disney night, they would play a Disney movie at 7 on Sunday nights.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Of course, Disney movies weren't really a big thing in my house. I didn't see The Lion King till you made me watch it.
You have to watch at least The Lion King.
With Boom Bop and Timmons or whatever.
No! Timon and Pumbaa.
Okay. Yeah, those two. All right.
You have to at least see The Lion King.
I did. It's done.
Right. But you'll never watch it again.
No,
That's my favorite Disney movie.
Not unless I have to.
I love
I mean,
Lion
if I'm
King.
forced, I would, but.
So, toys and things that you played with as a kid. There was the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, that little sucker.
Going to parties. We already talked about arcades and movie theaters. Boom boxes and Walkmans. Hanging out at the mall. Cabbage Patch Kids. Teddy Ruxpin. Road bikes and G.I. Joe. Those were top of the line.
Yeah, I'm a dummy. I had all the original G.I. Joe action figures, and I should have, I'd be retired now if I'd have kept them.
Oh, I'm sure the G.I. Joe was a huge thing.
We just, played with them, and then they went away. And my biggest thing as a kid, it kind of like with the Betamax versus the VHS, we always had the stuff that was just one way off. So there was Legos and there were lock blocks. I had lock blocks. They're not interchangeable with Legos. And guess what? Lock blocks disappeared, and
what's
Legos
the difference between Legos and lock block? What's the difference?
They're the same concept. They have a different pattern on them, so they don't interchange with Legos. The little nipples were a little bit taller, and the undersides were a little bit deeper, so it wouldn't interact with the Lego. It's some off-brand Lego that, which had a bunch of them, but then you couldn't get any more, and then it would interact with Lego. So, that was that. And, I guess normal people have Hot Wheels. I had Matchbox cars.
We had Matchbox cars.
But I had a gazillion Matchbox cars that all had to be lined up neatly.
Yeah, we had Matchbox cars. Well, we had both Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels.
Yeah, I had no Hot Wheels.
My brother more so, but yeah.
And I had the metal Tonka trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Not that plastic crap they have today. I guess the metal ones aren't safe or some such stuff.
I do remember when the boys were born, that was one of your big things. We had to find them each a metal Tonka truck. And we did. Because they both had one.
I don't know where they went, but you can't get them now.
They're in Christian room. That's what it is.
I remember the craze over the Cabbage Patch Kids. That wasn't a thing I was into, so it wasn't a concern. But I remember, all the incidents in 1983, 84, like Black Friday, Christmas rush. That was the Cabbage Patches. Again, not an issue for me because I didn't exactly want one. But
We didn't. I mean, we had baby dolls and stuff, but not the Cabbage Patch Kids.
between the lock blocks and then the Light Bright,
We had a light bright.
it seemed like there was too much stuff that had a whole bunch of tiny pieces that was easy to get lost or easy to really hurt when you stepped on it.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like stepping on the Lego.
Which, is why, I don't know, maybe that's what started me being kind of particular about not leaving stuff laying all over the place.
I had an easy bake oven. Those things were pretty cool.
I just used the real oven.
Yeah, I didn't. I had an easy bake oven.
You got food in a separate category there? Because I tell you a food story.
Yeah, there's food and drinks. We can talk about food and drinks.
So what you got now is the Totino's pizza rolls in a bag?
Yeah.
Those used to be in a box, in a thin box, in like an aluminum foil tray with its own little pockets for each one, because they weren't no microwave. So you slid the tray out of the box that had all the pizza pillows in there, and you put those rascals in the oven, because that's the only way you're going to get them hot.
Well, they're better that way too.
And they are. Well, they're best fried in grease, but
I don't know about all that, but they're definitely better in like an air fryer or the oven.
And they were Geno's pizza rolls. Somewhere along the line, they turned into Totino's and went in a plastic bag.
Yeah. So, according to what I found, Jell-O pudding pops, Sloppy Joe's, and Hamburger Helper, because it was all about being able to make a dinner that was quick and super easy and be done with it. Cheese balls, bagel bites, high C juice. Am I even on the right one?
Hawaiian Punch.
Crystal Light, Dr. Pepper gum, and Big League Chew gum. Like the Big League Chew or whatever.
Yeah, Big League Chew is made to be like chewing tobacco, only it's chewing gum along with candy, cigarettes, and all that kind of stuff that everybody's up in arms about or whatever.
We had candy cigarettes when I was a kid.
I don't think they make them. Well, I think you can get them at some very specialty stores and online, but they're not, widely available now. I go back through that list again.
Jell-O pudding pops, Sloppy Joe's, Hamburger Helper, cheese balls, bagel bites, high C juice, Crystal Light, Dr. Pepper gum, and Big League Chew.
Yeah, so on those drinks there, high C, yeah, but really it was Hawaiian Punch and Kool-Aid. We had the Kool-Aid man back then. You could even, buy 700 packs of Kool-Aid and you could get a Kool-Aid pitcher that looked like the Kool-Aid man. And
that would have been cool.
Now the pudding pops, I vaguely remember I had some of those with Bill Cosby one time. I don't remember anything after that.
It's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know.
We had the pudding pops when I was a kid. I kind of miss them, but they don't make them anymore. According to what I found, they don't make them anymore.
Well, I think they've kind of left a bad taste.
Just like the Dr. Pepper gum.
Never heard of that.
They don't. Apparently, it was a big thing in the 80s, but they don't make it anymore.
Nah, I was a Hubba Bubba guy.
Yeah, for sure. And the tape, the bubble tape.
Didn't have that, but or at least don't remember it. But I had the Hubba Bubba, and yeah, big chunks of like grape and orange, and just make your mouth water as soon as you put it in. Big old gob.
Those things were huge. So we can do. Well, the only thing we really have left are catchphrases and slang and facts about the 80s. So, general slang was things like rad, righteous, to the max, gag me with a spoon, different things like that. And then the major catchphrases were, what you talking about, Willis? I pity the fool, and help, I've fallen and I can't get up. Apparently that started in the 80s.
You know where all those came from?
I do know I Pity the Fool came from Mr. T. because I do remember the Mr. D stuff. A phone and I can't get up, I'm pretty sure, is the
Life alert
Life
or whatever.
alert, yeah.
The old lady.
I
Yeah.
can picture the dude saying it, but I don't know where it comes from with what you're talking about, Willis.
Oh, that was Arnold on Different Strokes,
Okay.
played by Gary Coleman,
Yes.
and his brother, played by Todd Bridges.
Where's the beef, gnarly?
Where's the beef? My grandmother loved that woman in that commercial.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
You've got to look that up. There was a Wendy's commercial. I'm pretty sure it was Wendy's. There's an old lady sitting at a fast food restaurant, and they're talking about the size of the burger and whatever, and she lifts the bun and looks up and says, "Oh, gray-haired lady, whatever." Like, where's the beef? You should watch it.
I definitely will.
My grandmother absolutely loved that woman and that commercial.
I'm definitely looking it up now. So, the 80s were full of Gen X and I don't know if you call them late or early millennials.
We don't count those people.
Excuse me. I hate being referred to as a millennial. I hate it.
The people that were conscious in the 80s, in our prime, that weren't baby boomers, and I guess there were some of the greatest generation still. Yeah, the greatest generation was still around, but the boomers, those of us that were young but not infants in the 80s, we're Gen Xers.
Mm-hmm.
We're all Gen Xers.
Yeah, like it's the later 80s and early 90s that start the millennials.
Yeah, for people that were born then, but you don't remember nothing about the 80s.
Right.
Because, you were still, as they would say, pooping green. So
yes, it was.
You don't have much of a memory.
No.
You don't know what it was to be a latchkey kid. That's what and I don't even know why that became a thing, but it became it was on the 60 Minutes or whatever would talk about it, about this, increase in kids that just meant you were, when you got home from school, you let yourself in, you had a key,
mm-hmm.
Your own key to let you, because ain't nobody home.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, mom and dad were both working, so there were a lot of kids that were going home to an empty house. I don't get why that was why they made such a big deal about it.
Because the previous generation, women didn't work.
Yeah, there were. I mean,
if they did, it was few and far between.
There were a lot more that were working than I think we conveniently remember. I mean, my mom didn't, but she did off and on. There were times that I was a latchkey kid, but it wasn't a big deal. And I know I've told you this story, but it bears telling you again because it still just blows my mind that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
In the second grade, we lived in the city, not in the country. I walked to and from school. No, it wasn't uphill both ways, just 1.5 ways. Actually, there was a hill, so I guess you could say it was. Anyway, and just looking back and going back there now and looking at where this place was, you wouldn't have let our kids walk alongside that street until they were 15. But from kindergarten, I'm walking this busy street, and one day something happened at the school and we got sent home early. This would have been in the early 80s, and we got sent home early. Well, I go home to our apartment and nobody's home. Dad's at work because until I was a teenager, Dad was at work, and Mom had gone somewhere. And this was, there were no alerts or text messages or, any of that kind of stuff. A parent wouldn't know the school had been closed early unless they said something on the radio and you happened to hear it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, not her fault that she didn't, she wasn't there. She was doing her day. Mm-hmm. And I get home, nobody's home. So, I don't want to sit on the porch of the apartment, so I went back across this street, again, that you would lose your mind if a 12-year-old crossed, but it didn't bother me at 6 or 7, whatever I was, and went over to the shopping center that was across the street and went in, wandered around the stores and pharmacy and whatnot, and hung out front, and people watched and waited until it was, school time was over because I figured, well, by then mom will be home because that's when she thinks I'm coming home. And
If I found out one of our kids did that, I would have been absolutely horrified.
but what do you do? You know, what was she supposed to do?
I'm talking about you coming across that street and going across that street, because I don't think this is a street we're talking about. I think this is more like a highway.
I mean, it's busy.
I'd have been horrified though,
There,
but I'm a bit overprotective, so there's that too.
yeah. I mean, there was a. I didn't know about it until years later, but there had been a woman right there in that neighborhood that had been disappeared and unalived. Um, but it was just wild to me that I was, just doing my thing, and I had no idea that I was 6 or 7. I just felt like I was doing my thing,
That's crazy.
doing what I do. Does he not have a clock?
He does. He's at work, and I don't know if he's at, like, he never calls when he's at work. The launch of MTV and video games happened during the 80s, which I think we pretty much talked about already. And Ronald Reagan was the president pretty much the entire 80s. He was the president from 81 to 89.
Yeah, to me, Ronald Reagan is like the president because he's the first one that I was aware of, and for so much of my formative years. And I remember some things about him, like the way he would say, well, and I remember that he seemed to go on TV at night more than any other president since. And if he decided he wanted to get on there and talk about something, your night was shot.
Right. Hold on a second. Leaving notes on the refrigerator instead of texting? Absolutely. I remember coming home from school in the 90s to notes on the back of mail envelopes. Fox TV channel. Like an actual news outlet then? A network. Satellite dishes. Yeah, I do remember those. But they weren't, the ones I remember are not the ones you see today, like the direct TV ones that you see on the, like, these things were huge, like ridiculously large. There's 2 more things left in the facts, but I was kind of waiting for him. Only 3 what? Only 3 channels? Satellite dishes, Fox TV network, ABC, NBC, and CBS. The satellite dishes were the size of a house. Yes, they were. They were huge.
I remember having 3 channels: ABC, CBS, and NBC, and that was in the city. There might have been something up on UHF that you had to, like, put the rabbit ears on and turn the dial on a different spot, and then stand on one leg and hold aluminum foil in one hand and touch the antenna with the other. And then when we came up here to the boonies, we had about 1.5 channels.
This is not the boonies.
I mean, And if it was the wind was blowing the wrong way, you had no channels. But that's what I was getting to about President Reagan. 3 channels, he was on all of them. Your night was shot.
Mm-hmm.
You just listening to him. There wasn't going to be no, must see TV or anything. You'd be lucky if Johnny Carson wasn't, preempted or some crap.
Johnny Carson, I'm on the fence about him. I like him, and I like how he interviewed people, but he could be quite, I don't want to say nasty, but like, sometimes he could be a little rude. Hilarious, but a little rude. By today's standards. Probably not then, though.
Have you seen him with Don Rickles?
I have, which is what I'm saying. Funny, but not. Fox Channel started October 9th, 1986. I like the skits that Johnny Carson did with, like, Betty White. Like the Tarzan thing and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing is that the 1980s had the largest population growth, beating the 70s and the 90s. And the the population went from 4.4 billion to 5.3 billion.
In the world?
I'm guessing. Would have to be.
Yeah, I was going to say. That was much bigger than the U.S. population.
Yeah, but it beat the 70s and the 90s as far as population growth.
Yeah, well, I think you had the, I'm guessing, the baby boomers making babies.
Mm-hmm.
And, one thing like the 80s was all about excess. Gold and money.
Oh, yeah.
And, bigger, flashier.
I think that whole Miami Vice kind of sums up the 80s as far as imagery.
Yeah, I never got into that one. Never watched that one.
I've never seen it. I'm just saying there's these guys in these like Italian suits and gold chains and sunglasses and
I had some of the Don Johnson drip, the pastel blazer with the different pastel shirt underneath and the khaki or linen pants or whatever, but it wasn't really, I ended up more in the parachute pants.
Yeah. But I think Saved by the Bell sums up like the typical experience for school during the 80s.
For me.
For most people. Because when you watch that, you can kind of see the fashion and different things.
Did you say 80s?
Mm-hmm. And the show wasn't made in the 80s, but it was kind of taken out of the...
I think that was late 80s, early 90s, and goes right into like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which would be for your 90s episode. Yeah. But
the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a good one. So to sum it up, do you think the 80s? One person said the 80s was the best time to grow up.
I agree. Yeah, I think that was a much better time to grow up. And, partly because it was a better time, but also because, it was our generation, Gen X was doing the stuff. We did all the stuff that the kids today get to benefit from. And, it was kind of like, leave us alone, we're busy.
Mm-hmm.
And we got things to do, and we're doing it, and you go do your thing.
Yeah, I would agree. You guys tend to be more, just leave me alone, I do it myself.
Right. I mean, we drank out of the water hose. I still do. You talk about
Do you really?
Of course. I fill up my water jug out of the hose. I mean, I'm using it for the dog's water. Why wouldn't you use it for mine?
They had bars that were for people under 21.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think drinking age at some point then was like 18. And there were definitely much easier. I mean, I wasn't my scene, but I definitely knew people at 16 that had no trouble getting in bars. But yeah, what were you talking about before the bars?
Drinking out of a water hose.
Oh yeah, I mean, right. Here's what I'm getting at. We drink out of a water hose. We I didn't know what a bicycle helmet was. I see
I don't
people.
think we wore helmets either.
I see people now riding a bicycle looking like they're going into some, I don't know, freaking Android derby or something. Knee guards and head good this and that and whatever. Like, come on. You hit your head, knock a little sense into you. We didn't think we needed to, wash our hands every 3 minutes. And it's totally okay to, eat pizza that had been on the counter since last night. Fine. So I don't know. I think we're a little less sanitized and therefore resistant to more nonsense and just whatever. We got it.
Probably.
Let's say we're dirty. We were clean. I mean, we had a lot of white rain and Aquanet.
Yeah.
In the hair, because whether you had big hair or not, I had a lot of hair. That mullet had some volume going on. You had to keep that nice.
I remember my aunt talking about all the Aquanet she used.
I think Gen X was the one that killed the ozone. But it was worth it.
Family dinners were important also. Did your family do family dinners?
No.
We did. Especially the holidays.
All right, well, holidays were a whole different thing, but that was basically just getting dragged around from two two completely separate sides of the family with two very different, just all different. All very different. Not bad, either one, but just different.
Yeah.
But it was getting dragged around, and yeah.
I think I was kind of blessed in that everyone on both, well, I wouldn't say everyone on both sides. My grandparents made it a point to have everybody at dinner. Aunts, uncles, cousins.
Okay, well, mine were, I had 3 sets of grandparents in 3 different states.
No, I did not.
And so, yeah, there was a lot of traveling. That's what holidays usually meant. Was
stores started to open on Sundays. Before that, they were closed. I think we need to go back to that.
Oh yeah, and then they had the blue laws where they'd be open till 5 o'clock in the evening on Sunday, and yeah.
I think things should be closed on Sundays.
And the freaking auto parts store, that's when there's pros and cons to that. So you could go into the auto parts store and you could tell the guy what you were working on and show him or tell him what you needed. He knew what it was, where it went, generally how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew when he went and got one off the shelf and brought it back that if it was or wasn't the right one for your particular car. The problem is, if you didn't have it by noon on Saturday, you weren't getting it. So when the car was broke down on the weekend, wasn't happening, Now the flip side is now, they're open 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. But when you go in there, you tell Zippy what you need, and he clicks the same buttons to bring up the same thing you bring up on a website.
Mm-hmm.
And he don't know an alternator from his own tailpipe. So he go and get you whatever number the computer told him to get.
Friday night football games, yeah.
And bring it back to you. So you can take it home, find out it's wrong, but they're open later. So, you can take it back and return it 6 times till you get the right one.
I think I look at it more as everything is so fast-paced today. Everybody's here, there, and everywhere. That if things were closed on Sunday, it would give a day where, families could actually just be families.
Mm-hmm.
If the malls weren't open, if whatever, go back to just being able to have a family day.
Yeah, I don't remember doing much at the mall on a Sunday. Friday night would have been more of a mall kind of scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I did when they opened a mall in our city in 1982. Was the grand opening. I got to skip school to go to the grand opening of the mall. Much better than school.
Of course.
And it was a fantastic mall. 2 stories, gigantic food court. And it had, when you went in the one entrance, it had a rotating section.
The mall had a rotating section?
Yeah, like inside, and it had like 4 smaller stores, but it was a circle, like a turntable that rotated. I mean, it was huge, but it was turning very, very, very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, I guess, that one restaurant we were at Disney.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking in my head.
Yeah, it was like that, but it had like 4 stores in it. And, so when you walked in, whatever store you were looking at, when you left, that wouldn't be the same store that was facing the door.
See, I get all kinds of confused because in order to keep where I'm at, I need.
Well, I mean, everything else stayed the same. Just those 4 stores that spun around.
Cruising parking lots on Fridays and Saturday nights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, keeping a car clean was important back then, which kids today don't care. But
I'm absolutely not. I know the oldest one, does not care at all. The one day I open up the car door and there's 10 bags of McDonald's behind the driver's seat. I'm like, are you saving it for later?
Yeah, that never would have flown.
Yeah, no, he did not care. Does not care. Still does not care.
I mean, when I was young, I cleaned my car with a Q-tip, getting in the nooks and crannies. Mm-hmm. Now I'm old, I use Q-tips to get my own nooks and crannies.
Everyone wanted to drive when you turned 16. Yeah, a lot of them don't want to drive anymore.
I don't get that at all.
No, I mean, that's freedom. That's your ability to just come and go. Freedom.
I looked forward to that day from the time I was 5.
Absolutely.
And on my 16th birthday, I was in line to get my I spent 4 hours in line.
Yeah.
To get my license that day. And then.
Right, independence.
And then left there and went straight to the insurance company because my parents were totally fine with me, driving as long as I bought my own car and went and got my own insurance.
At 16?
Yeah.
Thing one pays for his own insurance and the gas, but he didn't have to buy his own car.
Well, I had to go to the insurance company and get my own insurance policy. Yeah. And if I hadn't bought a car before I turned 16, I would not have had anything to drive.
Yeah, but was insurance cheaper back then? For you to be on your own? No. But back then, you had the option of going on your parents' insurance, and it would have been, I think it would have been cheaper, but they didn't want the risk of me associated with their policy. So it was more expensive for me to do it on my own. Now, even if our kid were to go get his own insurance policy, we still have to tell our insurance company that driver lives in this household or some crap. I don't know. There's some way they've jacked it up so you get messed over either way. Well, it would have been almost double or triple for thing one to have his own insurance versus being on our insurance.
Oh, it was a fortune.
Yeah. Compared
to the money I was making and what it cost versus now what he makes and what it costs. It's a much better deal for him being on ours.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that was not an option in my house. The option was, you want a car, buy it. You want to drive, get your own insurance.
I feel like in some aspects, you should kind of make things easier on them because the world is hard enough. But in other aspects, you push them to do the hard thing, knowing that it's better that they learn the lesson.
I'm not saying which way is right or wrong.
No.
It's just how it is.
Yeah.
But now here's the flip side of that. in my house. I was out one night with a friend who got in trouble a lot more than I ever did, and got caught mostly. But anyway, I got a ticket. I don't remember if it was for speeding or something. I think it was a stupid speeding ticket, like super stupid. But I got a ticket, and on the way home, my friend was all like, oh, you're gonna be in so much trouble, and had me psyched up that not just this ticket, but that like my mom was going to be all bent out of shape or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, I'm kind of like, oh man. So I get home, and I think I showed the ticket to mom or said something to her about it. And then my friend said something to mom about it, like, oh, and mom was like, so, you're going to pay it.
Right.
And my friend was like, well, but blah, blah, blah. And mom was like, it's his car, it's his insurance, it's his license, and it's his money. Pay the ticket. What am I going to say about it?
True.
So that was the flip side of, like, you're on your own with that. Then,
right.
Like, I'm not going to give you crap that you got a ticket for going 27 in a 25.
Right.
I think, if I had mowed down some pedestrians or something, it might have been a different story.
Or if you were doing like 50 in a 25, then that might have been a different story.
Well, if I had gotten caught going 50 and 25, that'd be it. So there's a difference between doing it and getting caught.
Shouldn't do it at all. Well, we've been streaming for an hour and 5 minutes. That's pretty cool.
Okay, bye.
Oh. Stayed out till the lights came on. Trying to make sure we didn't miss any comments.
Yeah, the lights on, and at the one grandparents in that neighborhood, me and my cousins would go out, and we would usually wander back in for lunch and wander back in for dinner. And then, of course, I mean, like, I don't know, the national rule, when the street lights come on, you get back within view of the house. But yeah, I look back at that too, and we were young, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, anywhere in 5 to 10, and we could not see the house from where we were blocks away, and we were on construction sites and in alleys behind factories, and
absolutely not,
down in the woods at the creek, and we were everywhere.
Our kids played in the backyard because I could watch them.
And we were, we weren't too far from an insane asylum or a prison.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
I think the insane asylum might have been closed down by then.
Absolutely not. I think we covered all the comments, and I think we covered all the information that I found.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody kidnapped me then. I ain't got to worry about it now.
Or no, but it also, like, I don't know if it was as prominent or maybe not as well aired about kidnappings as it is today, which was like my biggest fear.
Well, but I think we were less dumb then too. I don't know, or maybe different parenting. I know it was made very clear to me from a very early age, not only because of the after school specials, but my mom would reinforce it too, of you don't get in the car or go with anybody that you don't know. Mm-hmm. Like, here's the list of 3 people you can go with,
right?
And I don't care if they tell you that I'm they're my friend, or that I'm hurt or anything. You don't. You come here, you get to a phone and called it, because there were no cell phones.
Right.
It was like that. So it was just a no, and it was you. And I don't know. Maybe it was the city that you knew to just kind of ignore people and keep on walking if they weren't, people you knew.
I don't know. It's absolutely terrifying.
Or
that when they were little, that I would be so scared about someone snatching them. And it doesn't matter if it's in your own backyard or when you go to the store, people are lurking.
See, maybe that's why, Gen X were like, we survived it, and those parents, some of us didn't. So, we thinned out the herd.
It's terrible.
Those of us that are left, we got this,
That's terrible.
we made it this far, leave us alone. What?
That's terrible.
It's like when you're being chased by a dog. You ain't got to be faster than a dog. You just got to be faster than one of your friends. And I think that's a pretty good mantra for my generation.
That's terrible.
Like, I love you, and if you're dying, I'll do something to help you. But if it gets real, every man's for himself. You on your own. Figure it out.
Well, I don't see any more comments, so I think we're going to end it there.
End it.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.